came home from work to find my wife in bed with another man. You were never enough, she laughed. I just smiled, took my keys, and walked out. 3 months later, she called me screaming. I'm Aaron, 34M, and I've been married to my wife, Lisa, 32F, for 5 years. If you'd asked me a few months ago, I would have told you we were happy, stable, a solid couple. But in just one night, that illusion shattered. Because I walked into my own home and saw my wife in bed with another man. And when I confronted her, she laughed in my face. I got off work 3 hours early that day. It was a slow afternoon, and my boss had cut us loose early, saying, "Enjoy the time off." I remember that moment so vividly because I had actually smiled, thinking how nice it would be to spend the extra time with Lisa. I even considered stopping for food on the way home, maybe sushi, her favorite. Something nice to shake up the usual routine. I had no idea my life was about to fall apart before I even set foot in the house. The first thing that felt off was the front door. It wasn't wide open, but it also wasn't fully closed. Just barely ajar. Lisa and I were both careful about locking doors, so at first I figured maybe she had gone out for a quick errand and hadn't shut it all the way. Still, I walked inside quietly, scanning the entryway. Her purse was on the kitchen counter. Her shoes were by the door. She was home. Then I heard it. A low, breathy laugh, hers. And something else. A man's voice, muffled but unmistakably deep. My stomach dropped. I moved without thinking. My feet carried me down the hall, past the framed pictures of our wedding day, the vacations we had taken, the life we had built together. The bedroom door was cracked open. Inside, 2 silhouettes moved under the dim glow of the bedside lamp. I wish I could say I stormed in and made some dramatic, powerful speech. Or that I saw red, that I lost control, that I lashed out. But I didn't. I just stood there, frozen, watching my wife, my Lisa, straddling another man in our bed. The sheets I had laid in for years, the pillows that smelled like us, now tangled around someone who wasn't me. It didn't feel real. For a moment, I think I actually believed I was dreaming, that I'd wake up, shake off the nightmare, and everything would be normal again. Then Lisa turned her head, saw me standing there, and she smirked. Not guilt, not shock, smugness. And then came the words that would haunt me for months afterward. "You were never enough," she said, breathless, laughing as she leaned into him. Like I was nothing, like I was a joke, like the 5 years we spent together, the love, the vows, the nights we lay awake talking about our future, meant absolutely nothing. I should have felt something. Rage, grief, heartbreak. But in that moment, something inside me just snapped. And instead of falling apart, instead of fighting, instead of yelling, I did something that seemed to catch them both completely off guard. I smiled. Lisa's smug expression faltered for a second. I could see it in her eyes, that tiny flicker of uncertainty. The way her confidence wavered when she realized I wasn't reacting the way she had expected me to. Her boy toy? He looked downright uncomfortable, shifting under the sheets, clearly wanting nothing to do with the confrontation. I didn't even look at him. I just pulled my house key off my keyring, tossed it onto the nightstand, and said, "You can keep the bed. I won't be needing it." Then I turned around and walked out. No yelling, no insults, no begging for explanations. I just left. And as I walked down the hallway, past the wedding photos, past the life we had built, I felt something I hadn't expected: relief. Because in that moment, I knew one thing for certain. Lisa had just made the biggest mistake of her life. And she was about to find out exactly what it meant to lose me. I didn't go back. Not that night. Not ever. When I walked out of that bedroom, I left behind everything. The home we built, the life we shared, and the woman I thought I knew. But what Lisa didn't realize in that moment, when she was still tangled up with her little boy toy, was that I wasn't just walking away. I was setting the stage for her downfall. She thought she had won. She had no idea what was coming. The first thing I did was make sure Lisa had no way to touch my money. We had one joint account, which we used mostly for bills and household expenses. But my salary, my real savings, that had always been in my own name. Still, I wasn't taking any chances. That same night, I parked at a diner, pulled out my laptop, and started locking everything down. Drained our joint account, left exactly half, just so she couldn't claim I stole from her. Changed all my banking passwords. Removed her as an authorized user on my credit cards. Set up alerts for any financial activity in our names. Then I checked our house title, It was in my name only. When we bought the house, Lisa had been between jobs, so I was the one who handled the mortgage. At the time, I hadn't thought anything of it, just another legal technicality. Now it was the best damn decision I had ever made. Because Lisa? She had zero claim to the property. By morning, I was sitting in a divorce lawyer's office. He was a sharp-looking guy in his 40s, the kind of attorney who specialized in high-stakes breakups. "So," he said, leaning back in his chair, "tell me everything." I did. Every detail. Finding them in bed, what she said, how I walked out without a fight. He whistled. "Damn, that's cold." I shrugged. "She thinks she won." His lips twitched into a smirk. "Well, let's make sure she realizes she didn't." We went over everything. Filing for divorce on grounds of infidelity with all supporting evidence. Keeping the house, since it was in my name alone, she had no claim, ensuring she got nothing, no spousal support, no financial safety net. "But," I added, "I don't want to serve her yet." The lawyer raised an eyebrow. "Why?" I leaned forward. "Because I want her to think she's winning. I want her to dig herself in so deep that when the papers hit, she has no way out." He grinned. "Now that's a man with a plan." For the next few weeks, I went completely silent. I didn't contact Lisa, didn't text, didn't even acknowledge she existed. And she didn't try to reach me either. At first that pissed me off, but then I realized she thought she had won. She probably told herself that I left because I was too much of a coward to fight, that I was off licking my wounds while she was playing house with her new man. Perfect. I wanted her to feel secure, comfortable, like she had successfully replaced me without any consequences. So I waited. And while I waited, I gathered every last piece of evidence I needed. I had bank statements showing where she had spent money on their little rendezvous. I had her text logs, not from her phone, but from our shared cell provider account. I had photos from my private investigator, proving beyond doubt that she had been cheating for months. When the time came, I wasn't just going to divorce her. I was going to completely destroy her. 3 weeks after I walked out, I got my final confirmation that Lisa was digging her own grave. A mutual friend, Sarah, reached out to me. "Hey," she texted. "I don't know if you want to hear this, but Lisa's been telling people you just left, that you had some kind of breakdown and disappeared." I stared at the message. I wasn't surprised, but still, it was a hell of a thing to hear. She wasn't just lying, she was rewriting history. She wanted to play the victim, make people think I had walked away because I couldn't handle a real relationship. That was the final push I needed. The next morning I called my lawyer. "It's time," I said. He chuckled. "Let's bury her." I didn't need to destroy Lisa. She was about to do it herself. For weeks she had lived in her fantasy world, playing house with her new guy, telling herself she had upgraded while rewriting the story so she could be the victim. That was fine. Because now she was about to wake up to reality. Lisa's downfall started with a simple trip to the grocery store. She went to pay for her cart full of overpriced organic nonsense, the kind of stuff she used to throw into the cart when I was the one swiping the card. Only this time, her debit card declined. She frowned, tried again, declined. She pulled out her credit card, declined. Then her phone buzzed, a notification from her bank. "Alert, your joint account balance is now $3.82. She stared at the screen, heart pounding. She had seen money in the account just 2 days ago. She had just assumed I wasn't touching it, that I was off licking my wounds somewhere. But no, I had taken my half, the part that was legally mine, and left her to fend for herself. Now she was broke. Lisa tried to text me, then call, then email. Each time she was met with nothing. Because she wasn't just locked out of the bank accounts, she was locked out of me. Her texts wouldn't deliver. Her calls went straight to voicemail, and that's when she knew. She wasn't just financially cut off. She was completely alone. With nowhere else to turn, Lisa went to her affair partner. I don't know exactly how the conversation went, but I can imagine it. I like to think it started with her frantic, maybe a little defensive. "Babe, you won't believe what Aaron did. He drained our account. He froze the credit cards. He's ignoring me." Maybe she thought he'd step up, that he'd tell her, "Don't worry, I got you, baby." Except he didn't. Because here's the thing about men like him. They don't stick around when things get hard. Lisa wasn't a catch anymore. She wasn't some forbidden prize he was sneaking around with behind my back. Now, Now she was just baggage, and within days, he was gone. By the time the process server found her, she was already crumbling. She was sitting alone in the coffee shop where she used to brag to her friends about how much better her life was without me. She barely noticed the man approaching her table. "Lisa Parker?" She blinked up at him. "Yes?" The folder landed in front of her. "You've been served." She stared at it, hands trembling. The words, "Petition for dissolution of marriage," might as well have been written in blood. She flipped through the pages, scanning the details. Grounds for divorce: infidelity. No spousal support, no claim to the house, no access to shared assets. Her hands shook. Her little fantasy world had just gone up in flames. That night I got my first voicemail from Lisa in weeks. "Aaron, we need to talk. This isn't right. You can't just cut me off like this. We're married. We built a life together. You don't just throw that away." I smiled, because funny enough, that was exactly what she had done. Thrown me away. Now it was her turn to feel what that was like. A week later, another voicemail. This time, her voice cracked. "Aaron, please, I know I messed up. I was stupid. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought I wanted something else, but I was wrong. I miss you. I miss us. Please just call me back." No. Because Lisa wasn't sorry she cheated. She was sorry she lost. A few days later, I got a text from a mutual friend. "Lisa's been asking around about where you're living now." Interesting. I wasn't hiding, but I wasn't waiting for her either, and she was about to find out exactly why. Lisa thought she could fix this. At least, that's what I gathered from the constant calls, texts, and voicemails she had been leaving for the past 2 weeks. At first, she was angry, furious that I had locked her out, taken my half of the money, and left her with nothing. Then, when she realized her new man had ghosted her, the anger turned to desperation. Now, she was clinging to whatever hope she had left. And she was about to learn that there was nothing left to hold on to. One night, I got a text from an unknown number. "Lisa, hey, please don't ignore me. Can we meet? Just for coffee? No fighting, no drama. I need to see you." I stared at the message. She wasn't demanding anymore. She wasn't blaming me. She was pleading. That was new. I didn't reply immediately. I let her sit with the uncertainty. Then 2 hours later, I sent back one word. "Why?" Her reply came almost instantly. "Lisa, I just need closure." Closure. She thought this was her moment. She thought if she could just see me one more time, say the right words, cry at the right moment, maybe I'd let her back in. That wasn't going to happen. But I agreed, because I wanted to see just how broken she had become. We met at a small cafe downtown. The kind of place we used to go together back when things were good. When I walked in, I spotted her immediately, and for the first time in months, I felt absolutely nothing. She looked different. Not physically, she was still the same Lisa, but she looked tired, hollow, like someone who had finally realized they had gambled away everything and lost. I sat down across from her. Didn't say a word. She exhaled shakily. "Thanks for coming." I nodded. "What do you want?" She winced. "Aaron, can we just talk?" I tilted my head. "Talk about what, exactly?" Her hands gripped the coffee cup like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. I know I screwed up. I didn't respond. Just let her keep talking. I thought I wanted something different. She swallowed hard. "I thought you'd always be there, that no matter what, you'd still love me." She blinked rapidly. She was trying not to cry. "But you're not, are you?" I leaned back. "No." Her breath hitched. "Aaron, please. I miss you. I miss us. I just want another chance." And that's when I ended it for good. I let the silence stretch for a long moment. Then, slowly, I pulled out my phone, turned the screen toward her, and let her see the picture. It was me, with someone else. A beautiful woman sitting beside me, laughing, her hand resting comfortably on my knee. Lisa's face crumpled. "Oh," she whispered, like the air had been knocked out of her. You're with someone?" I nodded. "Yeah." She let out a shaky breath. "Do you love her?" I held her gaze. She never made me feel like I wasn't enough. Her bottom lip trembled. "Aaron, but I was already standing up. I dropped a few bills on the table, and then as she sat there, frozen, realizing she had lost me forever, I said the last words she would ever hear from me. "You were right about one thing, Lisa. I was never enough for someone like you." Then I walked out. Lisa wasn't done. I had walked out of that cafe, fully ready to leave her behind. But some people can't let go of a losing hand. Lisa wasn't just losing, She had already lost, and she couldn't handle it. It had been a month since our final conversation at the cafe. I hadn't heard from her since, and I assumed she had finally accepted reality. Maybe she had moved on, found some other poor fool to leech off of. Then one night, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to answer. I swiped to accept, and immediately regretted it. "You bastard!" Lisa's voice screeched through the speaker, laced with rage and desperation. I didn't say a word, just held the phone to my ear, listening to her unravel. "You ruined me. Do you hear me, Aaron? You ruined my life." There was nothing rational about her tone. She wasn't crying, she wasn't sad, she was furious. Like I was the one who had walked out on her, like I had cheated, like I had betrayed her and laughed in her face. It was almost pathetic. "I have nothing," she continued, her voice breaking. "You took everything from me, the house, the money. You turned people against me. Even my own friends won't talk to me anymore." I almost laughed at the audacity. "Sounds rough," I said, voice completely flat. That only set her off more. "You think this is funny?" she shrieked. "I bet you're just loving this, huh? Sitting there with your perfect little life while I have nothing?" Her voice cracked on that last word, and that's when I realized what was actually happening. Lisa wasn't mad because I ruined her life. She was mad because I moved on, because I was happy, because, for the first time since I had walked away, she had finally accepted the brutal truth. She had destroyed herself, and I had simply let it happen. I let the silence stretch. Then, very calmly, I said the words that broke her completely. "Lisa." She froze. I never said her name anymore. "I didn't ruin your life." A shaky inhale. "You did." Her breath hitched. "You threw away everything we built. You laughed in my face while you slept with another man in our bed. And now you're mad because I didn't sit around and wait for you to come crawling back?" Silence. "I moved on, Lisa. I don't care about you anymore. And honestly," I let out a short, amused breath. "It's hilarious watching you finally realize what you lost." The line went dead. I blocked her number after that, and just like that, Lisa was gone. For good.